Andrew Tate. Whether you like him or not, he's probably going to be here to stay. One thing for certain though, is that he is super jacked. Hang on, before we continue this video, I feel like I'm dressed incorrectly. Alright, there we go. So we got the three-piece suit on. A bit more Andrew Tate style, Andrew Tate fashion. Surely you like this video because I just put on a three-piece suit for it. Andrew Tate, he clearly has muscle. And in order for us to actually write a program to look like Andrew Tate, we need to kind of go over his physique, go over some of his strong points. Because he also has some weak points. We're not caring about those. We're trying to look like the top G himself. So it doesn't matter if he's got weak points. We got to somehow get his strong points. That's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so let's start with his upper body. Okay, so his pinned post, one of the first posts he has, is a shot of him clearly in his wardrobe with guns on the wall, top G moment, shoulders just looking like fucking boulders. Absolute monster. Dude's got those whacked triceps. Honestly, like you can see like those veins in his tricep. Dude's got like those shredded abs. But saying that, his chest is not as impressive as his shoulders. Dude's rear delts are like wrapping around his back and his traps like up to his neck. It's ridiculous, right? Man's got a physique, but his chest is sort of lack. He's got seemingly no upper chest, but his lower chest is sort of more there in this photo. Forearms are popping. Like if we just go over to this photo, clearly he's got big forearms. He doesn't actually have that well developed biceps compared to his triceps. Because think about it, right? Like he's a fighter. He's trying to be pushing people away. He doesn't want big biceps, right? He's like, if he gets into a street fight, some poor man sits on his Bugatti. He's not going to be pulling them in for a kiss. Right? He's going to be pushing them away. He's going to be throwing punches. And so there's no real, like as a fighter, how big do your biceps need to be? You need those big triceps to help kind of throw that punch and kind of extend the elbow. Funnily enough, I actually found this photo of him back in 2014. And I'm not sure what he's doing, but he is holding a barbell in one hand, holding the meanest face you've ever seen in your entire life. But his neck is actually being eaten by his traps. It's actually kind of freaky, to be honest. It's actually pretty cool. Back in 2014, and the caption of this post is beast mode. So if you want to be a beast mode, maybe this is an exercise you need to get into, or maybe not. You're about to find out what the program that I wrote for you is going to be all about. Am I going to include this exercise or not? You're going to have to stay to the end and find out, my friend. And here we have another photo, a very similar timeline, very similar photo. The caption says 50 kilos. So man's is strong. This man's got a strong grip. And here's another photo, really just kind of showing off his shoulder development. It's actually ridiculous, to be honest. I'm guessing this was coming into a fight, so he was pretty lean, pretty cut down to make weight. But the man's shoulders is capped, right? And as you can see, his arms, specifically his biceps, are not as developed. And so when it comes to Andrew Tate's physique, you don't want to be pushing biceps too much. We want to be focusing on the shoulders and triceps, the forearms. But this man's back is relatively impressive, to be honest. Here's a video of him doing he has nunchucks and he's spinning it around. If you could tell me what that actually is. Maybe he says it in his description. Master of the Wudan Shogunate. I still don't know what that is. I'm going to stay away because he looks like he could beat me up. But yeah, here's another shot kind of really showing his back. As we said earlier, he's got very strong traps. Lats are still built, and even his lower back is quite built as well. And you can really see like the rhomboids and all the kind of like other musculature of the back kind of showing up in this photo too. But yeah, so we're going to have to be making sure that with our back training that we're kind of emphasizing the traps, and we have a couple ideas of how we're going to do that. Now, one last upper body muscle, which most people don't really consider in their training, is the serratus. So as you can see here, this is clearly a in-comp shape photo, but just where the lat comes out, you can see those kind of very large lines. That's the serratus. They often call that the fighter's muscle because that actually protracts or pushes out the arm as you punch. And so you'll see a lot of fighters actually have a really well-developed serratus. I don't fight, but I have a really well-developed serratus, and so it looks like I can fight. Please don't test that. But we're going to have to be making sure that we train the serratus somehow in our training so that we kind of balance our physique and try and look like Mr. Tate Top G himself. So moving on to the lower body. Being completely honest, his lower body is not to the standard of his upper body. Keep in mind, he is a fighter, and so we're not trying to build loads of muscle. We're trying to be producing powerful legs so that we can throw some kicks. If our legs are too big, power to weight ratio is going to actually decrease, and it's not going to benefit us how we want it to benefit. Leg size, he does have relatively small legs compared to his upper body. But coming back to the nunchucks video, he still has developed legs to an extent, and he still has some mass there. So obviously we can't just not train legs. That wouldn't be very Andrew Tate Top G. Now, I found this photo. As a man who talks about having girlfriends with OnlyFans, maybe he should start his own. Dude is double cheeked up, to say the least. least. In all seriousness, he clearly has developed glutes for whatever actions you might think. Fun fact, the glutes are one of the most powerful muscles in the body. We produce a lot of force with our glutes. And there've actually been studies where they found that women rated men based on their glute size. And actually they found that a man to a point with more developed glutes were actually more attractive to straight women. Other forms of men and women also find glutes attractive. In general, men are often scared of training glutes or developing glutes. It actually makes you look more masculine, shows a more dominant kind of physique. So we're going to be making sure that we train our glutes just so that our legs are relatively balanced and so that we can give that top G dominant look. So this well-crafted program designed to look like Andrew Tate. How much training is going to be involved? Unfortunately, you can't take his philosophy and train 30 minutes a day and basically just do push-ups and drink whiskey and smoke cigars. That's not gonna make you look like Andrew Tate. Maybe that's to maintain the Andrew Tate look, certainly not to build. You'll need to be training 5 times a week. So the training program looks like this. We have an upper body day, we have a lower body day. We repeat that twice. So we have 2 upper body days and 2 lower body days. We are also going to be including a shoulders and arm day because we really want to be bringing up the shoulders. We're going to be training shoulders close to 3 times a week and subsequently the triceps 2 times a week. But for the sake of time, we want to kind of spread our workout more evenly so that 1, we're not having this one massive session, and 2, we can have more frequent but higher quality sessions. So let's break into the first session. Now this is a upper body session focusing on push. So this is the muscles such as the shoulders, triceps, the chest, those kind of pushing movements. The first exercise is dumbbell shoulder press, 4 sets of 8. This is a great shoulder builder. It is unilateral, so the shoulders are going to be trained individually to ensure that our shoulders are nice and even. And so after dumbbell shoulder press, we have barbell incline press. So Ashton, you just said that he doesn't have a very high upper chest development. Why are we programming an incline shoulder press? Well, the reason is we just did a shoulder press move. So the front delts are pre-fatigued, meaning that as we move into the incline press, the chest, yes, will still be involved, but it will be involved to a lesser extent. The front delts will be a limiting factor because they can't produce as much force, or for the same force they produce, they're going to have to work even harder. And so for this, we're going to be doing 3 sets of 12. All right, the next exercise, you're probably going to be guessing push-ups. Andrew Tate's favorite exercise in the entire world. Bro does like 500 push-ups a day, and so we are going to follow the trend. See, push-ups are actually a great exercise in this scenario. The reason being is that serratus muscle contributes a lot to push-ups, especially in that lockout, and you really extend the arms forward. The shoulder blades move around the body, and that's what the serratus does. And so in order to train the serratus and get a little bit of growth in the serratus, we're going to be doing those push-ups. This is also, again, a great builder for the chest, triceps, and shoulders as well. This is going to be 3 sets of what's called an AMRAP, which is as many reps as possible. Why do we program this? Well, some people can do 5 push-ups, some people can do 20. It doesn't matter. We just want to go to do as many as you can. And then each week, we're going to aim to beat this number. If that means you do 50 push-ups, just like Andrew Tate in 1 set, congratulations, you're probably a top G. But for everyone else, we can slowly work up to that 20 rep range, and then we can start getting our friends to put weight as you do push-ups to make it even more difficult. Another alternative as well is to do deficit push-ups. So these kind of push-ups, they basically take you through a longer range of motion and they place your chest and your other muscles under a longer stretch, which makes it more difficult and actually can help promote even more growth. So if the push-ups are getting too easy, consider going into a deficit. Following that, we have dumbbell row, 3 sets of 8. This is a great back builder, and we want to be making sure we're focusing on squeezing the shoulder blades together. This is going to engage the traps much more than the lats, which is a main emphasis of our work. Preceding that for the shoulders, again, we want to do upright rows, 3 sets of 12. Finishing this workout with bent forward lateral raises, 3 sets of 12. So bent forward lateral raises let us hit a little bit more of the rear delt in the lateral raise movement, and we want to have those capped shoulders. We want that capped look. This is a great exercise to just scrape in a little bit extra rear delt in our shoulder work. And then to finalize, we're going to do overhead tricep extensions, 4 sets of 12. This is to build up the triceps. Doing any overhead tricep work focuses more on what's called the long head. The long head of the tricep is actually the biggest looking head, and so the bigger your long head of the tricep, bicep, the bigger your triceps are going to actually look compared to if you just train the other heads. A lot of powerlifters, which is who I specialize in, don't benefit from training the long head very much. And the reason being is it doesn't help with the bench press. But if we want to have that look that Andrew Tate has, we need to be training the long head. Keep in mind as well, he's a fighter and likely uses the long head more when he strikes, compared to being a powerlifter, which doesn't use it very much during the bench press. Day 2. This is a leg focused day. Whoa, where am I? This is very strange. I've just teleported. I am wearing a pink shirt and I'm in a completely different scene. What has happened? This is not a very alpha Giga Chad moment of me, but nonetheless, I guess we have to continue the video. So day 2 of the program. We'll be starting off with the hack squat machine. Here we have 3 sets of 8, and the goal of using the hack squat machine is to really grow the quads. Now, you can use barbell squats. You can do other forms of quad movements like leg press. I like the hack squat machine, and so I thought I would include it for you guys. It is very similar to a squat, and especially if you go that full range of motion, you can really hit your quads. Slightly heavier with the 3 sets of 8, because you're probably a beginner, you don't need to be doing anything crazy like 20 rep, 15 rep hack squats. And so 3x8 is a great quad builder, especially if you execute. After that, we're going to be doing deadlifts or Romanian deadlifts. Why am I giving a choice? Well, it depends on your preference. Honestly, I don't mind. Some people like to do deadlifts. Some people like to do RDLs. Deadlifts and RDLs are great for building the lower back, the glutes and hamstrings. If you can handle the recovery, especially if you're more new, deadlifts are fine and a great back builder as well. You have to use your lats and your traps to stabilize or hold your spine in place as you lift. But if you're really trying to emphasize the glutes and hamstrings, maybe you're getting so strong at the deadlift that it's super taxing and you can't finish the rest of your workout, then Romanian deadlifts are also a great option. When it comes to programs, following it to a T is obviously important if you're working with a personalized coach, but it's okay to make small adjustments, especially if this is just a template. Like fundamentally, we're choosing exercises to target certain muscles, and you know, there's other exercises to do that. There's no pressure in what to do. We are then finishing up with 4 sets of hamstring curls. 4 sets of 12. Hamstring curls target the lower part of your hamstrings and are a great hamstring builder. It's important that we train both leg curl movements and hip hinge movements when trying to maximize hamstring growth, mainly for aesthetic reasons, because the hamstring passes over the knee and passes up the hip. So in order for us to train both heads and both areas, we need to train both movements. And then to finish off with, we have standing calf raises, 4 sets of 15 reps. Rest like 30 seconds when it comes to calves. You do not need to be resting for over a minute. The calves have a lot of veins, blood flows very quickly through the calves, and so you can clear lactic acid and all those what we call metabolites very quickly, and so you don't need to be resting longer than a minute, even 30 seconds for calves. Just do 4 sets of 15, 30-second rest. You'll be like, wow, I can actually perform really well. And that's really all I have to say about that. Day 3 on the program. This is a back-focused upper body day. So in other words, it's a pull day. I know we made a joke about pulling in people to give them a smooch, but pulling describes the back muscles, the biceps, the rear delts, all those kind of muscle groups. So to start off with, we're doing 3 sets of 10 bent over rows. Just like before, we want to be focusing on pulling the shoulder blades together to really engage the traps. Then we are going to do 3 sets of 12 of dumbbell chest supported row. This is a great exercise. This is similar to the bent over row, except it's a little bit of variation to keep things fresh, and it also takes away the lower back, because sometimes doing bent over rows, especially with enough sets, your lower back can get really fatigued. So this is sort of a refresher. And then we have lat pull down, 2 sets of 12. This is actually the first pulling movement that is vertical. Why have we not done anything vertical previously? Well, we are trying to emphasize the traps. The lats are still going to grow doing rowing movements, but they are not the focus. And so this is the only time that we've actually been able to include some rowing. And so this has been the first time we've actually been able to include some vertical pulling, because we've just been trying to emphasize rowing as our main back movement. Generally speaking, rowing back movements train more of the traps, rhomboids, spinal erectors, and then lats. Vertical pulling trains these muscles, but to a much lesser extent, and mainly focuses on the lats. And then we have shoulder press. This is a barbell shoulder press. We have 4 sets of 8 reps. Then again, the goal is obviously to be growing the shoulders. We're actually going to be doing bent forward lateral raises again, this time with 4 sets of 20. So it is okay to use the same exercise in a program, but it's a good idea to use some variation. You can do this with rep ranges, with tempo, with all kind of little adjustments. So if you're going to do the same exercise, consider using a little bit of variation. And to finalize day 3, we are going to be doing hammer curls. Hammer curls are a bicep movement which targets more of the forearm than the actual biceps. And so keep in mind that we're trying to prioritize the forearms over the biceps. This is a great exercise. Day 4, this is the last leg day of the week. This is more quad and glute focused, but we still want to do a little bit of hamstring work. Starting off, we're doing RDLs, 3 sets of 12. Again, we're using a little bit of variation to keep things fresh. We then have barbell squats, 4 sets of 8. This is really going to nail the quads, and that's what we want. Then, as our last quad movement of the day, we're doing 4 sets of 12 each leg, walking lunges. But the catch is that we're actually going to be bending slightly forward. What this does is it actually makes it more difficult for the glutes. So we're going to be growing the glutes slightly more. Then the quadriceps. And then to finalize, 4 sets of 12 of seated calf raises if you do choose. Now for the final day, this is day 5. This is our shoulder and arm workout. We are starting off with dumbbell press, 3 sets of 15, using some variation to keep things fresh. Followed again by cable tricep overhead extension, 3 sets of 20. For our last tricep movement, we're going to be doing dips, 3 sets of an AMRAP, as many as you can. Moving on to the remaining shoulders and arms, we are going to do a special technique. We're going to be doing a cable lateral raise, but it's going to be called a giant set. So a giant set is where you pick a rep goal, let's say 40 reps, and the goal is, doesn't matter how many sets it takes to get to 40 reps. Typically you pick a weight you can do for, let's say, 15 to 20. You do as many as you can, you get 20 reps. You rest 30 seconds, you then do as many as you can, you might only get 11 reps. The total is now 31 reps. And then so for the next set, after resting 30 seconds, you do the same thing until you get to your goal. For this giant set, the goal is to get to 40 reps, doing cable lateral raises. We then do another giant set with the rear delt fly machine. If you guys don't have any experience in the gym, this high rep work gives you the biggest burn and the biggest pump you'll ever experience in the gym. It is really something else. Then we move on to 3 sets of 20 hammer curls, and then 3 sets of 15 barbell wrist curls. So if you want to look like the top G, the man himself, this program has been designed to focus and build all the muscle that Andrew Tate has. All his strong points, all his weak points, everything has been accounted for. If you want access to this program, there is a link in my description. It is completely free. Click on the link and it will send you the program over Google Sheets. Thank you for listening to this video. If you found it entertaining, funny, maybe even informative, please click the like button. Consider subscribing and then sharing this video to your friends. Maybe you can even get your personal trainer friend to review this video to see if I am actually legit or not. I think I'm legit, but maybe he doesn't. Anyways, thank you so much for watching.